Welcome to the Odd Moms on Call, the podcast where we get real.
Where a no BS mom squad tackles parenting, politics, and everything in between.
We're the moms who say what you're really thinking.
It's like venting to your besties, but with mics.
Get ready for honest, unfiltered, insightful, and sometimes odd revelations
as we make sense of the world, one conversation at a time.
You are back for another episode of Odd Moms on Call. It has been too long since at least the four of us have been in the same space at the same time, and we're fired up, y'all. We are fired up, ready for action. We got a couple other odd moms that may pop in, pop out, and if and when they do, we will welcome them and love on them. But for now, you have with you me. I'm Chelsea. I host Quiet Connection Postpartum Mental Health, stay-at-home mom of two, non-binary, all the things. That be me. Who else do we have on this call today? Britt.
Hi. I was like, I always love a chance to talk. I'm Britt. I'm a mom of four. Currently, I'm a registered nurse, but also doing my transformational life coaching certification, the host of the Odd Mom Pod, and super excited to hop in today.
I am Kara, mom of one, perinatal and child psychotherapist based in Jersey, because we're from Jersey, baby. So relevant this week. And very excited to be here.
Okay, it's my turn. I'm Tianna. I'm founder of Love Surf Warm. I help busy professional women with PCOS get pregnant. I am a homeschooling mama of two beautiful miracle rainbow babies. And I absolutely am so excited to be here as well.
Yay! So that's who you have with us right now. We're all excited to be here. We may have Courtney joining us in a little bit. And Courtney is the face behind Beyond PPD. She also has two kiddos, and she does a lot of work for PSI, specifically PSI Indiana. And we'll see. You never know who's going to hop in. So we'll see if somebody else joins us. But today, we're excited because, well, we're not excited about the first part of what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about the government shutdown. It is, as of recording, it is November 7th. The United States government has been shut down since October 1st. This is the longest shutdown in our nation's history, and we're going to dive into it. But I think the four of us are super jazzed because we just came off of an election cycle on Tuesday, and blue wave, baby. America really showed what they want and what needs to be heard and needs to be said. And yes,
it was also the first election without Daddy Elon's machine. So I think hopefully that's the...
Well, yeah, because he and Trump are not besties anymore.
Huh.
Yeah.
Fascinating. I'm a conspiracy theorist sometimes.
No honor amongst thieves, right?
No.
No.
So we're all holding on to these little glimmers of hope. But we're going to talk about the government shutdown, how it's affecting us, how it's affecting people that we know. And then we're also going to we're going to end on some positive. We're going to talk about this crazy, crazy historical election cycle that we just went through. But yeah, so what is actually happening? Okay. Because it's one thing to hear there's a government shutdown, and there's a whole other thing to sort of understand what that means for families and for the American people. So, I mean, I guess let's just roll right into it. How did you first learn about it? And do you guys even fully understand, or did you understand what a government shutdown meant?
It's a great question. I feel like I started hearing about it from a lot of the different agencies and contacts I've had. I work in social services. It's something that's very much on our radar, even as an outpatient provider, because of the systems that our clients are going to be facing. And some of the work I do with PSI, even just thinking about new parents and what they needed access to. I think for me, it started with finding out actually friends and colleagues had been furloughed in their government jobs, and then clients needing to actually pause or reduce frequency of treatment because of not having a paycheck coming in was a big thing that started, and understandably so. And then from there, it really morphed into the food insecurity, because of SNAP. And I think also WIC and just, and the challenges of accessing nutrition and basic sustenance. And that became the glaring and understandably glaring focus. But I mean, I live in a very socioeconomically stable, considerably stable area, and our food banks are empty. Like there's community food drives, people are making food banks on their front lawn, and I think that's been a big focus in our area, as well as folks in some of the government positions that they have. And then even just in other parts of our state, like southern wise, even just hearing about military bases and some of the military families who are there, so they have to still be on active duty and yet they don't have food. So just a very fascinating storyline to follow. And then how things have been, we've had picking and choosing of who's going to get access or how and what's going to happen. So it's very confusing. And even as somebody who's supposed to know these systems, I find myself confused. So I feel like most parents are probably wildly confused about what's actually happening, and it changes day to day anyway, it sounds like. So yeah.
Yeah, it's been crazy. I think, like, I learned very much about government shutdowns in the last Trump era because we were active duty military last time. And so, we were 100% like impacted. This time now, my husband was kicked out of the military in August. And so, and we're divorced. So I'm completely on my own. And in one way, it's been really nice because I've actually finally been stable enough to where, like, I am very lucky in this part of my life to be able to, like, provide without government assistance, even as a single mom. It's hard. And if I didn't have a nursing degree and the ability to work night shift at the hospital, like, I would be also struggling. But I think last time was a big one where we really felt it a lot more personally. And now this time it's hard because I'm sitting here watching all of these military families that I know from all over the world who are now kind of waiting. From my understanding, most of the military families are still getting paid at this point. They've found like special funding for military paychecks. But now we're seeing it just big in my community. I live in a decent-ish area part of town, but I work in one of the most economically challenged areas of Oklahoma City. And we have already been having unhoused complications with our terrible governor, like breaking down encampments and like not allowing. We used to have this big, large encampment where they like took up this huge field, and it had just become like a tent encampment that was really close in walking distance to all the homeless shelters. They went and they raided it, completely tore the whole thing down, kicked everybody out of it. And like it was just like some plot of land. Like it wasn't hurting anybody. It was never in the way. It was allowing people to be close and have like a sheltered area. So we're just seeing big in the community. At the hospital, we're seeing a huge increase in people coming in for small things and like asking for food while they're there. I've been packing bags of patient belonging bags with crackers and peanut butter and whatever I can for families when they come in and kids when they come in, because they don't know where else to go. And it's been terrible to kind of watch on that side of it.
I mean, I was gonna say, like, going back to the previous government shutdown under the first Trump administration, that what I still didn't have a full understanding of what it was at the time.
Okay.
Like, I was like, okay, so it's not in session and like they're just not voting on anything. But at that time, my stepfather was still in the military, and so he was not working, and so I kind of had like an idea about it through that. This time around, because I'm so much in the like maternal mental health and the just like the maternal realm, I learned about it because of SNAP and WIC. So like I was seeing everywhere, like, this is happening, this is coming, and I was like, oh shit. And I was looking into it more and I'm like, there was never a point where I was like, okay, this isn't going to happen. I knew it was going to happen. That's just the way this administration works. But I was immediately like, okay, how can I facilitate spreading information about how and where to get food? How can I donate to areas where there is food insecurity? And we are a family that is, I mean, I'm disabled and can't work. And I receive Social Security disability benefits. And my husband is the sole, like, he provides for the family. So we understand food insecurity, and I can't just go out and donate hundreds of dollars. But what I can do, and what I am seeing popping up in Vermont at least, is we love a good little free library. Every neighborhood, I feel like, in this state has a little free library, and they're turning into little free pantries. And that is so beautiful. So not only are there books, because that's still important, but they're also lining their shelves with soups. And we're going to get into it a little bit later about like what are good things to donate and what are things that aren't helpful to donate, because things that we assume are helpful sometimes just aren't. Like mac and cheese is great unless you don't have milk. But
Or a heat source.
yeah. So I still will admit that I don't 100% understand a government shutdown, especially when it gets into, and we'll get into like non-essential versus essential stuff. Like I don't get it, but I learned about it beforehand primarily because of WIC and SNAP. How about you, Tianna?
Want to say that I have all of my life been for the most part, like a recipient. I was born, my mom was really young and we always relied on the system for a very long time. So I am just, if I'm honest, I've been a little bit distraught by some of the opinions of people that I respected and their opinion about mothers and children not being afforded the basic necessities of life. It just has left my husband is like, you just have a hard time believing that those truly are how those people have always been. And they just feel safe enough to express their views now. Because I am just like, how is this not an issue where the whole world is revolting when children and mothers are not getting their basic necessities? Like, I'm genuinely hurt. It's something that sometimes I feel like even hard to get out of bed because I'm just like, how have we reached such a place where this is even our reality? When I was in the 7th grade, I won an award from the district attorney from doing a food drive because of food insecurity in my neighborhood. It's the reason why I'm a philanthropist is because I have been on the other side. I remember we would wait hours in line for our WIC. Like it used to be like a book back in the day, and then you used to have to go to another line to get a Metro card to go home. And I used to be so tired and so hungry. My mom's like, "We need the Metro card now, honey." And so I'm really heartbroken for the state of where we are, but more importantly, the privilege that I've seen in some of the people closest to me, for them not to realize that we are all no more than 1 to 2 paycheck away from housing instability. And I'm just like, I'm just really broken and I don't really have the words. I really haven't, like, I don't have the words because I'm just so shocked that we're even here. Our most vulnerable, I learned about the shutdown because both my kids have disabilities. They're both on Medicaid. And a lot of these practitioners, they don't have a big business. So when these things happen, they automatically shut down to protect themselves. They can't continue to offer services and never know. So I found out very quickly when a lot of my children's therapists were like, we're going to shut down until we know that we can get funding. And so it's just really sad because my children, I'm a homeschooling mama. I'm prepared for this, but I'm worried about the parents who aren't. The parents who have children who have greater needs and who are now not only with food insecurity, but they're finding themselves without support. And I don't even have the words.
I mean, I don't think there are words. I think what is happening is so disgraceful and so disgusting. Like those words don't even sum it up. And like I'm not following our outline here, but like let's be totally clear, especially since we're talking right now about like SNAP and WIC. The funding is there. The money is there. There is backup money there. It has already been paid into from our taxes. Courts have ordered Trump to cut the shit and reinstate these benefits, and he is refusing to do so. So anyone listening who is like, well, okay, maybe the money is not there, or no, it is. It's there. This is deliberate withholding, and it's a tactic. It's a tactic.
This is the first time that this tactic has really been used before in this capacity. Like even in previous shutdowns, SNAP funding has never been something that has been cut, that has been deemed as something that has been essential and has been funded. And so the fact that the money is there and that we are now seeing this play out in real time, also while while they're building a golden ballroom. It's like the most dystopian nightmare bullshit I've ever seen. I'm like, what in the fuck is that? This is like straight out of the Hunger Games, you guys.
I was just
This
going to
is
say Hunger Games.
straight up out of the Hunger Games. It's
Well,
insane.
and the Halloween thing that they threw was
My God, the
I know.
the Great Gatsby.
people.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, did you read the book?
No.
Did you read the Great Gatsby?
No, because anyone who did would know the symbolism behind that. Says the
Hey,
former
Courtney's
English
here,
major.
you guys.
Hey.
Courtney's
Courtney!
here. So, Courtney, we're just talking about if we sort of understood what a government shutdown was before this and how we found out about it. And a lot of us, like Kara, knew about it because of a lot of her clients and the outreach and the things that she does. And a lot of us found out about it because of SNAP and WIC and services like that. What about you? How did you sort of come to find out about this?
I knew about it. One of my friends, her husband is in the Army. And so he hasn't been paid in a couple weeks. And they have kids. And, they have to go without him getting paid. But he still has to go to work. He still has to report to work. It's just...
I love your cat's commentary.
I'm
by
so
the way.
sorry.
Your cat is fired up as well.
He has no
She's like,
concept
yeah.
of personal space. And he's currently...
One passionate pussy. We love it.
Come here.
He is, yes, he's a compassionate pussy.
Passionate pussy, but compassionate as well,
Compassionate,
honestly.
yes.
God love him. There's no one else home but me. So he is just dying for attention.
That's okay. He can be an honorary odd
Mascot,
mom
yeah.
today.
Yes.
Okay, well, just for time's sake, because listen, y'all, we're on a crunch today. But so yeah, we talked about how we found out about it. And it's one thing to hear numbers like Courtney was just saying, like 900,000 furloughed employees. Like, that's insane. It's another thing, like you said, to really dig into it and realize that this means families are not being paid. This means families cannot buy their groceries or pay their mortgage. So, yeah, that was a perfect segue, Courtney. Like, do you guys know, or are you specifically being impacted by the current government shutdown?
Yeah. I have two of my best friends, actually. I was just checking on them. They have a baby who is about almost 6 months old. And my friend took maternity leave from her job, and now her husband is on paternity leave. He has a government job, and he has been furloughed, and he's supposed to return to work in a week or two. And he said, I don't know if I probably won't be returning to work. And I really hope we're going to be able to put food on the table and feed our baby. And but him and his wife are both public service employees. So it's just... And it goes back to actually something you said earlier, Chelsea, about like essential versus not essential and like how is that decided? Like, and I think that's, I understand from a pragmatic standpoint and trying to understand like what is truly essential to life and safety, which is like the definition. But I think that the problem is that you can't send the message that something is essential and acknowledge and say that, well, we need to only fund what is essential when you're not funding food. How is that not essential? And I don't understand that. And how you're not funding people's livelihoods because you're saying that they are not essential by picking and choosing while simultaneously saying, we will eat cake at a Gatsby ball and you will go hungry. It doesn't compute. But it's personally so frustrating to me because these people that I'm friends with are the most giving, kind people who are constantly giving back. But again, and they have no control. So it's incredibly frustrating to watch.
I have a question, and it's more like for Britt, but it's for everyone else. I only direct it to Britt because she says she's like the conspiracy theorist. But I'm like, do we not feel like this is intentional? Like, I'm just like, is he not looking for a reaction so that he can put in like this military law, like this? Like, I'm like, because at this point, it just like my neurospicy, right? My pattern recognition. I'm like, that the kings and queens, when the poor are hungry, they will revolt. And this is the reason why it's never happened. Because we know, like, so I'm like, do we not know what's going to happen here? I feel like it's,
They're inciting chaos, This is another thing that my husband and I were talking about last night. The big upset, and we'll talk about this too, for the Trump administration with the whole blue wave, is now they're saying like Trump's not even going to see 4 years and they're going to try to take him out in 2 years. And so they're shitting themselves right now a little bit and they're really pissed. But what the Trump administration is doing is they are trying to shift our entire culture as American people. So they are trying to get the American people used to having a military presence in cities. They are, again, trying to make the most vulnerable of us even more vulnerable so that we will have, in their opinion, no other choice than to sort of like go to
hungry people
them.
can't fight.
Hungry people can't fight. Yes.
And I
I mean,
and I,
that's why, like, even like I have conspiracy theories all the way back to like skinny culture. Like, they keep people thin because then you are weak, you are controllable, you are not able to like go longer times without food because you don't have the reserves or you know, I think it's all 100% intentional. This is
can scream.
entirely, yeah, it's all
I am
entirely
with
intentional.
you. Like when Miley Cyrus came out, like, and all of these celebrities came out with no buccal fat, like the fat from their face was literally missing. And we went into this from the BBL to this Ozempic trend.
Mhm.
I was like, are we teaching people, like, are we going to be like starving soon? In my mind, I was like, because why are we making this thinness, this unreachable thinness, the norm? Britt, yes, I love it, Britt. Yes.
Let's take it a step further. We just saw this yesterday. So they're cutting SNAP. So that's 42 million Americans, by the way, who have lost benefits at this point. And that's more than 6 million mothers and children who rely on that. And then
that's
they're
on
holding
WIC too.
on WIC, yes. And then they are holding conferences about lowering costs on Ozempic and Wegovy. And
Oh my gosh, you guys, I just also, did you know that the whole thing on Ozempic, that they're doing this $250 thing, actually makes them like 11 billion more money than
Yeah, it
changing
makes
how
them
it
more
is?
money than if it's the way it's structured with the insurance companies. And okay, I'm going to add another. Well, this isn't really conspiracy theory; it's fact. But I don't know where this was, but I did see this video the other day, and it made complete sense to me. To your point of, I feel like there is an attempt to try to create an excuse for control because they know that if there is a switch in government control, that they're going to jail, and that is what Steve Bannon literally said at I don't know if he was at what he was at, some sort of event, but he literally articulated, if we do not take back control or maintain control in the midterms, many of us are going to jail. And I do not understand how that is not only validation that these conspiracy theories are not truth in many ways, or to your point, Tianna, pattern recognition in action, but they're literally saying they're doing stuff that's illegal. How can people continue to sit there and say it's one side's fault? And like beyond political side, it's just so maddening that as a country, people cannot see through the theater to kind of say, this is people's lives, and how are we not fixing this? And like just continuing down. And a lot of it is because we're stuck. And I know that that's a big part of it, of like how we do this, the mechanisms, but like collectively shifting. And I actually do think that the most recent elections did show that there is a collective shift that we can finally acknowledge because, it was ideally and evidence of a free and fair election speaks the truth of the people.
100%.
I think a lot of this too, honestly, when you're talking about conspiracy theorists, I think we know that when people are hungry, crime increases.
Yes.
Because people commit crime to do that.
Yes.
We have lost a large portion of our labor force in, field types jobs, heavy work, construction, those kinds of things. And so seeing, what we're trying to do is they're increasing the things that they can put you in jail for. They can put you in jail for being poor now. They can put you in jail for being unhoused. They can put you in jail for anything, an immigrant or anything. Then slave labor is still a thing in the United States under prisoner type work and slavery. And so what I was seeing is they're increasing things that you can be put in jail for. They want to increase prison populations so that we have a free labor force to take over the jobs of everybody that is lost their jobs, the hardworking people in the country who have been carrying our nation on their freaking backs. And it's all linked to making people hungry on purpose.
There are a couple of distinctions that I want to make too. Like I'm fact dropping. I'm channeling my inner Jess right now.
I love it.
So, because this is also a perfect segue into the whole access and stability and the inequities within it. When we're talking about like who this is affecting and like you said, like a more more things that you can be arrested for. They are making these little changes that have big impacts. So like literally as of like yesterday with our passports now, if your passport does not match your assigned sex at birth, it's invalid. So that targets the trans community. I actually have to go back and look at my passport because I'm not sure. I know in Vermont we could list X if we wanted to, and I just can't. It was a while ago, so I don't remember. But they're arresting people for petty crimes, and yes, the prison system is modern day slavery. That's not what I wanted to say at all. But this is a good segue into the inequities in this whole thing. So, like most crises, this is not hitting everybody equally. So some families are completely stretched to the breaking point, and others really don't notice a change. And that's not unfair. That's systemic.
It's built
That's
in. That's the way it's meant to
intentional.
be. Yes.
It's intentional. So let's talk about this. What kind of families are being hit the hardest in your areas?
Yeah, I feel like with the whole employment, like the layoff, we've seen that it's disproportionately affecting women of color,
Yes.
or and so that's already an issue. I feel like this whole thing is meant to affect like women and children the most, but I feel like we're seeing like people of color being affected the most, especially in the color community, because women are the primary caregivers, right? We went from like the 1970s, 8 out of every 10 homes were two-parent households to like 2 out of every 10 nowadays. So I really feel like that's who's suffering on top of this already vulnerable population of women of color with disabled children. I feel like they are the most vulnerable because they're getting the systematic oppression from so many different ways, and they are being the most challenged. And I feel like the most challenged with the least representation, if I can be like honest.
Yeah, I totally agree. I absolutely think that women of color and single moms and children and these populations and certainly people with disabilities. And I also think the irony too is that we also know that there's I want it to sort of like contrast with that. There is such stigma of this idea of like the welfare queen and like how it is women of color, but we know that disproportionately individuals on SNAP and using government assistance are actually white men. So we should probably name that to also say that ironically, a lot of the states that also supported the administration making these cuts are also individuals who probably needed these services and did not realize or willfully and ignorantly chose to vote against their own interests. And so that is really important to not underscore because it's certainly affecting people the most who really deserve and need the support, who have been disenfranchised, who have been systemically oppressed and need the lift up. And to that same point, it's also affecting people who claim that they are not mooching off the government and they're not a welfare queen or whatever the rhetoric is that's used, when disproportionately we know that it is white men who are utilizing a lot of the services and are now going to lose access to benefits.
And also, like, everyone says, like, oh, they can just get a job. And I'm like, bro, they have jobs. They have multiple jobs. Our minimum wage is still $7.25, which is the same as it was when in 2008 when I got my first job at a grocery store. Like, that is bonkers. They already have jobs. Our wages are not enough to feed a family, to feed just a single person.
And to put things into perspective, here in South Florida or most of Florida, LPNs for home health start off at $16 an hour. Okay. So when it comes to my girl being on hospice and Medicaid paying for her hospice, we've seen a decline. The nurse, they can't. Before they used to do it for the love of their job. They love my girl Bree. She's funny. Now they literally have to choose between doing the thing they love the most or feeding themselves at $16 an hour for hospice. And I just don't know where we're headed.
Okay, I don't think this is the thing. This is going to haunt me this whole episode. But I do remember one thing that I wanted to say. And I can't remember either if it was something that Jess posted or if it was something that V from Under the Desk News posted. And there was a comment on it. And it was so delusional that I usually stay out of the comment section because that's just a really good place to make me mad. But it was so delusional. The person, and I'm paraphrasing, said something like, actually, you're wrong. The only people whose benefits are being cut are the people who are misusing the system or are here illegally. And I was like, A, people who are undocumented don't have access to these services. Period. End of sentence. That's not a thing. You are delusional. You are also delusional because B, the vast majority, and I don't have the stat in front of me, but I know it's in my notes somewhere, vast majority of families that are utilizing services like WIC and SNAP are working families that have one or more jobs per adult in the household and still cannot afford. I cannot understand how an individual could think, no. They're going through these millions of people and saying, oh, this person's abusing the system. We're going to take theirs away. This person's abusing the system. We're going to say, absolutely not. No, they cut the tap. They shut it off to everyone. And it's a system that's critical. And it is a system that is not being abused in any way, shape, or form.
They cut it off and have been told by 2 different judges to turn it back on. And they said no. What the fuck?
I was saying the other place I've been seeing it big impacted because I'm an adopted mom, but a prior foster mom, is we're seeing it a lot. I'm seeing in a lot of my foster parent groups, a lot of foster parents who are taking on, sibling sets or things like that are relying on SNAP and WIC and things like that too. And it's just it's insane that, the same Republicans who are so posted up about making sure that these babies are being born and limiting access to reproductive health care and all of that. And then, you have the systemic white oppression of already taking kids away from their families, because we also know that systemically, CPS, all of that, they are over taking of children of color, families, that taking kids just for families being poor. And there is such an abusive system systemically from that port. But now you have these foster parents, the people who are stepping in, who are trying to help take care of this kids that are in the system that do need the most support. And you're also seeing cuts along them being able to now care for these children without the increased costs that come with having more children in your home. We're seeing loss of access to therapies and things like that as well. And so it's just, I think, when we're talking about access and when you're seeing families that are feeling the blow, it's just over and over our most vulnerable families and our most vulnerable populations. And it's just so fucked up, you guys.
It's let's hit it with like, we've talked a lot about SNAP, we've talked a lot about WIC, we've talked a lot about childcare. I'm going to hit you with all of the things that are affected by a government shutdown, specifically those that will impact families. So yeah, we're talking about nutrition and family assistance. So programs like WIC and SNAP and school meals and Head Start. Housing instability, we touched on that a little bit. Section 8 payments being delayed, risking eviction for thousands of low-income renters. USDA rural housing loans and grants are frozen. Healthcare access, we talked about that a little bit. Community health centers are reliant on federal grants, and they're not getting that money, or they're having layoffs. FDA and CDC, there's reduced inspections, so there's way more. Like, we just had a listeria outbreak from peaches.
There's the ongoing listeria outbreak from pasta, those ready-to-eat pasta meals that are all over, and it's still going. Like, they keep finding more of it.
Yeah. It's insane. Like Tianna said, education and childcare. So federal preschool and childcare programs, Head Start, early Head Start, things like that, they're halted. Like 10,000 kids across the country sent home. Like, sorry, we can't do this. And then delays in processing FAFSA and Pell grants and things like that. And just to toss this in here, Trump is now trying to take away loan forgiveness from public servants who do not align with his ideals. Also, so the emotional toll that it's taking on families. 60% of federal workers live paycheck to paycheck. Shutdown spikes stress, depression, anxiety, and parents are talking about their kids reporting depression and anxiety and fear around food in their home. So there's so much more, but like those are the actual things that are being hit by this government shutdown, which sort of leads us into our next area. Like, what does this mean for families? What does it mean to parent through instability, to parent through fear, to parent through no food? I don't have an answer.
I'm using this as an opportunity to flip the narrative. Right. So what we are doing, we have learned, we have bought seeds, we're planting our own fruits and veggies. We have doubled down to learning sewing and how to make our own laundry detergent. And we're just using this opportunity to become more self-reliant, right? Like what are the things that I feel like it only took us like maybe like 100 years to like lose like everything that we have. So like what does it look like bringing that back in? What does a little bit less reliance, right? Can I can food with my kids? Can I preserve the scraps of the food? So we're really just leaning into it, right? Because you can I can't change the circumstances, but I can change how we respond to it. I can make my kids feel empowered throughout all of this. And that's really the spin we're taking on it. Oh, no food's a surprise. Don't worry, we will always wanted to plan anyway, right? And so we're just trying to make it as positive as we can make it. And I'm trying to teach my kids how to make lemonade out of lemons.
Yeah. I feel like for me, my son is too little to have an in-depth conversation, and like, but it's funny. I've become more aware, and I think something that I'm noticing as somebody who works a lot with parents is just the validation, acknowledgement that even if you are not directly affected by this, there is a systemic impact and a collective experience of noticing scarcity, of noticing how somebody mentioned earlier in this, we're all like one paycheck away, one medical issue, one experience away from, not doing well. My husband is a teacher, and he said to me the other day, and this has been all over social media. He's like, yeah, no, we're all, and he's a math and a physics guy. He says, yeah, no, we're like all much closer to being homeless than to ever being remotely close to any of the wealth that the people who are making the decisions and trying to decide what happens to us are. As somebody who has some stability right now in my life, I actually just was able to buy a home, and like when we've moved into a home, and like I am so hyper aware of how much money we're spending on things and what's happening. And I've taken a step back and noticing that to say, this is because I recognize all of the instability, and it is looming over every decision I make as somebody who is still not even at this point in time, thankfully, in need of any of the services that have been cut. But certainly I think it's something to honor and to acknowledge in parents that if you're feeling that way, if you're checking the prices in the grocery store far more vigilantly, if you're like cutting things, if your kids are noticing that their friends are getting free and reduced breakfast and lunch now, and they're having conversations about to honor how dysregulated our nervous systems are, how overwhelming this is, that it's not normal, and to also talk about, to what you are acknowledging, Tianna, like what can we do, whether in our own homes or in our communities, to make difference within our own bandwidth, and also rest. And then think about where we can move forward, because it is so exhausting. And that is the point, is to exhaust. So we do not feed into that. And I think that is something that I'm really trying to focus on too, even in just my own life, of taking that pause and acknowledging how real the feeling is, but not feeding it further, and deciding where I can put, passion to power and make change within my own community. And then also take a step back when I need to pause. But it is hard, no matter whether you need it or not. It's exceptionally hard if you need it. And to have the conversations with our kids of, it's not somebody's fault and it's not something that they should feel bad about, that they need support, is a huge thing that we can do to help demystify who's receiving these services and benefits and the validity of them and our kids.
We're doing a lot of talking with the kids here. My kids are even seeing it as far as like behavior issues now, like that are increasing in the classrooms, and I'm explaining to my kids are going more hungry. Like you're more likely to not be able to tolerate your emotions if you're not fed well. Kids are going to be more mean. People are going to be hurting in a lot different way. And so my big thing is, we've been talking about being aware of other people's circumstances and situations. And like I said, I'm in a very privileged position, even as a single parent, to have a degree that has allowed me to like pay well so that we're not being impacted by this personally. But with my children, we're in a heavily impacted area. And so it's just conversations that, like, when they're noticing these little things, that it's reminding and teaching them the empathy of understanding that we don't understand everyone's experience. And people are really, really hurting, and how can we do the best that we can with what we can. And so like the other day we were in the McDonald's drive-thru, and a mom came up and asked if she could buy, or if I had a couple dollars. And so we ended up buying them a meal, because I was like, we're going to buy you 40 chicken nuggets and whatever else, because she had 3 kids. And I'm like, I could not imagine not being able to feed my kids dinner right now, like the scariness of that. And I gave her like $10 cash to go into the Dollar Tree to buy essentials. And that's the biggest thing as far as my parenting, I think, that has been impacted, is it's really just teaching my children and ensuring that we are aware of that. Because I grew up as like very similar to Tianna. I had a single mom. We grew up on all of those systems. Like I grew up with that understanding of like, we have $5 for dinner. We're walking into the dollar store. How are we putting together a meal for $5 for the 3 of us, you know? And like my children don't have that because of our experiences, but ensuring that my children are aware of the experience that other people are living in, even though we're living in our privilege currently.
So my family in particular, we're not seeing the impacts as drastically as a lot of families, but and Vermont isn't a great litmus test for the rest of the country, because we tend to allocate our state funding into these social programs, and we prioritize these social programs. But my kids are on Medicaid as well. They have Dr. Dinosaur through the state, and schools are. I mean, there were millions of dollars withheld this school year for special education funding. And I know that as a former special educator. And going into this school year, my daughter just got her ASD diagnosis. So now she's an ADHDer, just like her daddy. And me making the decision to not put pressure on the school, because she's what they call high functioning, and instead getting services through our local hospital, our local children's child development center, because they're getting their funding directly from the state. So it's a longer wait list, and the services are going to be on our time. But I am making the decision to not put pressure on my child's school, because I know they're already strapped, and I know that there are other kids that need it so desperately. And it's not that my daughter doesn't need those services, but she's going to be okay. Like, she's going to be okay, and we're going to get her the services outside of school. And we haven't talked in depth about the government shutdown, because again, like, my oldest will hyperfixate on it, and my youngest is 3. She won't understand it. But what we're doing as a family, at least on my husband's side of the family, and I'm actually really excited about it, is this year we're doing a Thriftmas. So we are either thrifting or hand making. And if we can't do that, if we really find something that we really, really like, it has to be from a local small business. We are keeping our money out of corporate America. We are intentionally reducing waste. And yeah, so we're doing Thriftmas, and I'm really excited about it. And I'm excited to involve the kids in it. I think it's going to be really fun for them to like come to Goodwill with me, or to come to like Once Upon a Child and like pick things out. I don't know. It brings me a little bit of joy. But like, that's how our family is kind of being impacted and or taking action in small ways. How about you, Courtney?
Yeah, my kids are little. My oldest is 5. She's in kindergarten, and my youngest is 2.5. So kind of similar to you, Chelsea and Kara, where they don't really understand what's going on. But I mean, we live in a very privileged area. I live in the suburbs. You know, we have good paying jobs, kind of like you, Britt, where we have good degrees and we have good jobs that are well paying. But I mean, we're still tightening things up as well. Like, I love taking my daughter to Once Upon a Child, because I mean, honestly, like, kids go through clothes so fast. Like, why do I need to buy them new? And I mean, I was just looking at Target, and kids' shoes are $40. Kids' shoes, $40 at Target. What in the world? She's going to wear them for a season and then outgrow them. That's bonkers. So we've just been tightening up and trying to be just more cognizant of what we're spending our money on and where it's going and that sort of thing. And trying to just, you know, if our kids are affected or seeing things that are their friends are being affected by this, like teaching them empathy and to have empathy for those situations and, you know, those terrible things. And I completely lost my train of thought there at the end. It just went away entirely.
It's not just me.
No, it's not just you. It's just gone.
Yeah, I always say like all the tabs in the browser just close. I also want to make sure that I highlight, and I'm sure that a lot of you guys can relate to this, but well, let me say, I hope you guys can relate to this. I truly do. The support that I am receiving, whether it be through you guys, like emotional support and like cheerleading on the sidelines, or whether it be family and friends who are just like stepping up, and people have been doing things for me and helping me or offering help to me and my friends in ways that I never dreamed possible, and that's
Mhm.
beautiful. So out of something really really ugly and really really disgusting and horrible, people are showing me humanity
Mm-hmm.
in its purest form. There are opportunities that my family has had amidst all of this that would be completely impossible without the support of certain people in our lives. And I think that's happening. I think that's what the true America
Yeah.
Yes.
is. But yeah, I really think at the root of it, and I think that this election cycle really highlighted that. So before we get to our hot take and then our resources for you guys, and before Kara has to leave, Kara, I want you to shout from the top of your lungs, New Jersey, baby, and then we can get into the rest. But like,
Yes, we're from
yeah,
New Jersey, baby. We love Jersey. I am so proud to be from New Jersey. We pump our fists and not our gas, and we exercise our
yes,
rights. But yeah, but I really am. It is so nice. I cried my eyes out and was up very late, thinking I thought I was going to be up very late checking that. And I was texting my sister the whole time, who's going through the infertility process, and the wave of relief that came over her of being able to know that she can access the care that she's going to need because of the changes was really insane for me and critical. I felt a safety for my patients, and I felt a hope that I've needed for a very long time. And I think very many people did in our country.
Yes.
100%.
100%. Yeah. So on November 4th, 2025, y'all, the elections, the Democratic Party achieved insane wins,
Mhm.
like wins that were so unprecedented, and people that rose from the bottom to the top. The blue wave, we're going to keep saying the blue wave, like
Yes.
it was insane across the whole country, New Jersey and several other states. Democrats are now holding key seats. And this really is a signal of what the American people really want.
That jumped out at
Yeah.
me and gives me hope as living in Indiana in a red state. Mississippi broke the Republican supermajority. Mississippi. Deep red Mississippi. If Mississippi can do it, Indiana can do it. And like that is why they are trying to redistrict. I'm dealing with this in Indiana where they're calling for our governor just called a special session to redistrict. And like I have been calling my representatives and my senator like every day and emailing them being like, we don't want this. Like they're talking about carving Indianapolis up into 3 separate districts because Indianapolis is always
Because they don't want to lose control.
exactly. And so like if Mississippi is doing it, like there is hope everywhere.
If Mississippi is doing it, if was it Virginia that just elected its first female, what was it? Was it Virginia?
First female governor, yes. And every single
ever.
county in Virginia went blue. Not blue, but trended blue. Every single
Trended blue. And this is supposed
Yeah,
to
and I think
be
they flipped like 6 seats that were primarily Republican for the last like 40 years. That they
Yes.
all flipped.
This is supposed to be a really good litmus test for the 2026 midterms. And that, again, is why the Trump administration is currently shitting themselves and why we are feeling really excited.
Is anybody like super like, I want to run for local government now?
No, because I think I'd lose
Absolutely
my
not.
fucking mind. But
Absolutely not.
you should, though, Britt.
My
you
skin
should.
is not-
I'm like, I've fostered in this situation. I was a military spouse. Maybe I should, guys.
I think you should. This is
Do it.
This is Britt Wild announcing their candidacy for whatever office they choose. Oh my God, yes. No, if I take on one more thing, I'm gonna like literally become ashes on the floor.
Valid.
Okay, all right. We don't have Lindsay here with us to do our hot takes from Hot Moms, so we're gonna have to roll with it. I had kind of asked her to pick one, but we're gonna do it. So before we give you our resources for this episode, and we've got a lot of them, which is great, it makes me so happy, we're gonna tackle a hot take, and I'm just off the cuff here gonna pick one.
I say the middle one.
The middle one, that was the one I was looking at, Britt. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, we'll pick the middle one. Okay, shutting down services isn't a political statement. It's a household crisis. And who pays the price? Families.
100%.
I mean, yeah, that's pretty much like everything we've said.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
not a
I mean-
political statement. Well, okay. Let's say this. They said they shut down the First of all, the whitehouse.gov website is a fucking joke. Please don't go to that website for
It's the
any
craziest
accurate
thing I've ever
information.
seen.
And it says at the top of every page, like, the Democratic government shut down, and that
Which
it
is a
is such
violation
bullshit.
of the Hatch Act, but whatever.
Thank you, Courtney. Yes, there's so
Who
much.
cares
Like,
about
this
laws
is-
anymore, right? Like, what are we
Nobody.
doing?
Nobody. It is not a Democratic government shutdown. The Democrats are perfectly willing to show up to the table and negotiate, and the Republicans just want them to sign their fucking bill. So the
Mike
whole
Johnson
reason
sent the House reps home. They're not in D.C. at all.
I know, but
It's crazy.
I mean, I won't speak for every Democratic representative, but I can tell you that my Vermont representatives, they're still there. They're not getting paid. They go there. They're still showing up, and they're ready to sit down at the table and negotiate. And there are several other. And it shouldn't be a fucking party line thing, but whatever. The whole reason that this is happening is because MAGA wants shit done their way and will not budge. And because the Democrats want to talk about it and don't agree to these insane things that they're asking, they won't come to the table. They won't sign anything. We have to shut down the government. Okay, bye, peace. I mean, that kind of like boils it.
Mhm.
Am I wrong?
Well, and the Republicans are winning
No.
in this too because they are using this as a political stunt.
Yes.
It has
Yes.
become a political stunt
Yes.
because
Absolutely.
they are now able to twist it and use it how they want. And they're saying, oh, the Democrats won't just approve our bill. But when you actually look at the bill, okay, then we're cutting how many millions of American families healthcare,
Yes.
the ACA cuts that they're wanting to do and the impact on what that would include for healthcare. It's crazy that their options are like, okay, well, if you aren't going to agree to that, then we're just not going to fund anything. And so
Yeah.
now it's continued to allow it to be used as a weapon.
And also, they hold they hold both houses and the White House, both chambers in the White House. They could reopen the government whenever they want because they are the
And
party.
the money's there, you guys. The money is there.
Exactly, it's
there.
there.
You paid it, people. You paid it in your taxes. It is there. Meanwhile, we've said
Well,
it.
it's not there anymore. Now it's in the Great Gatsby.
I was just
Right,
going
it's
to say.
in Mar-a-Lago.
Meanwhile,
Thank God.
they're building a golden gilded ballroom and destroying pieces of history.
No.
No one has ever demolished.
and the
pieces of
contractors
White
aren't getting
House.
paid.
Am
Did you
I?
guys
Am
see?
I? No, but am I wrong in that? I don't want to be wrong. Has any president ever demolished a section of the White House?
I don't know. I don't think so. And specifically the East Wing, which is where the office of the First Lady, where Eleanor
Yes.
Roosevelt established the office of the First Lady, that just feels like a target to women's history in
Women,
this country.
and they're going to put a ballroom in there, or they are. It's
It's
a
taxation
big-
without
It
representation.
is because
Well,
we're
no,
not
yes.
we're not represented right now. The government's shut down. And if
and
you're going to get rid of all these services, what are we paying taxes for?
exactly.
Tell me what my taxes are going for because I want
We
them
said
to
this
go to
a few.
I
We said
want
this
them
a
to go
few
to food
episodes
pantries.
ago. A few episodes ago, we were like, let's just stop paying our taxes. It's taxation without representation.
Mhm.
We're not being represented. Why would I pay my fucking taxes right now?
Good thing you
Um,
said that because the IRS just announced they're coming for people who have not been paying the taxes.
Off IRS.
Yeah.
Can you
And I'm
start
just
on
like,
the
right
White
now,
House?
Why don't you start with your billionaires?
Right, can you start
Yeah.
at the
They're
White
coming
House,
for-
please?
and I'm like, right now when we are being taxed without representation, you want to come after the people who haven't paid their taxes? Really?
Yeah, I'm gonna say. I mean, it feels like
Okay, there have
dangerous to
been-
literally say anything, but like,
There have been
Fuck
3
'em.
major demolition and reconstruction projects on the White House.
Thank
President
you.
President Harry Truman in the late 40s ordered a complete gutting of the interior due to structural issues. They left the original exterior walls while replacing the entire interior with a steel frame, modern wiring, and new internal walls.
Okay.
President
Makes sense.
Roosevelt in 1902 included a construction of the West Wing, which did involve demolishing the original space that had been used, but then they rebuilt. And then in 2025, the demolition began on the East Wing to make way for a new ballroom addition.
So the first two were for structural reasons or
Thank
for
you.
In the
expanding
1940s, in the
offices?
1900s,
Yes.
correct.
And then this was just bullshit.
Ego.
He wants to put his name on the White House. That's what it is. Like,
Y'all,
he puts
did you
his
see
name
that
on
there's-
everything. He wants his
Did
name
you
on the
see there's
fucking White House.
there's printed paper with huge golden bold letters
It
that
says
say
the Oval Office.
the Oval Office outside the Oval Office, and people are like, "Is this like his dementia like post-it notes?" Like,
Reminding him where he's at.
Yeah.
and it has to be
We're
gold.
reorienting. We're
ridiculous.
reorienting the president to
Yeah.
the surroundings.
My
This
God.
is terrible, you guys. This is
My
not a good
God. No, well, it was never a good sign. We all knew he was fucking deranged. And yeah, it does feel, I don't know why I feel so okay saying things. Like last episode, I was like, I don't know if I can say this. And this one, I'm like, I just don't give a fuck anymore. Okay? I don't.
Well, we're realizing that it's not going to really impact anything at this point. Everybody knows where we're at.
It's
Nobody's gonna
scary
be
though, because
surprised.
people are still disappearing. And now, like, I just read
Honestly,
this
disappear me,
morning.
please. Put me on a nice little farm. I
No.
am like at the point where I would just
No,
like to pick
come-
some vegetables.
Come
Like
live
honestly,
with me. Come live with me. Okay, anyway.
I've been planning to go to Vermont with Chels.
Yes.
Like, I want alpacas. We talked about it. Like, I have a
Yes.
no-kill farm. We
Yes.
can totally, like, trade.
Yes,
totally
I
down,
have
Britt.
10 acres, and it's going to be an Odd Moms compound. Yes. Okay.
hell yeah, I'm
Right.
so in.
Anyway, we're going to get into resources, you guys, because we're nothing
Okay.
if not helpful, right? We don't just
The
rant
least we can do.
for listening to us and to give you a little something to hold on to.
Sorry, my cat's looking directly at the camera, and that was the funniest
Love
thing I've ever
it.
seen.
I love
Cute.
it. Hello, sir.
His name is Merlin.
Welcome. Merlin, welcome
Merlin.
to Odd Moms. We're happy to have you here. All right. So some trusted sources. Merlin, do you want to read the list?
No, he can't read. He has scrambled eggs for brains.
Some trusted sources and tools that can help during a government shutdown. Okay. So, Save the Children. It's a breakdown of childcare, WIC, early education. It's like how the government shutdown hurts children. Look into that, read about that. National Partnership for Women and Families. Again, it helps you work out how to financially navigate a government shutdown. Local food security resources, which we will be linking in the show notes. Feeding America. There are local food banks, which again, I will link and it will take you directly to your local food banks. Food Finder and Find a Fridge, which I thought was the cutest. Like, it's not fridge, it's Fridge, FREEDGE. And it's very similar to Food Finder. It just sort of helps you locate where your local food shelter and things like that. Children's books, which we all know I am obsessed with. Children's books to not necessarily break down a government shutdown, but to sort of help teach some empathy and some understanding to your kids. Are you looking up Fridge, Britt? I can see your face. Okay, so
I'm like, I'm gonna be starting a local fridge, a community
Yes.
fridge. Cute.
a
A
fridge.
fridge. Yeah.
Oh my
Britt,
god,
you're so amazing. I just want to say that. Like,
you
Britt
are
for governor. Like, let's
Britt
go.
for president.
Yes.
Britt for president. Okay, all right. Back to children's books. That's another episode. So,
Oh, gosh.
Watercress by Andrea Wang. It's a beautiful book where one of the main characters discovers the significance of watercress to her parents' personal stories and their Chinese heritage. So it talks about food and the importance of culture and feeding others. A Chair for My Mother, which was one of my favorite books growing up. It's heartwarming, it's inspiring, talking about community coming together to help community members in need. I think there's a fire and they lose their home and their mom just wants a chair, a comfy chair to sit in at the end of the day. It's amazing. The Good Garden. How One Family Went from Hunger to Having Enough. That's by Katie Smith Milway. It's a young girl in Honduras learning how to nurture her family's garden. Maddie's Fridge is adorable. It's a joyful story about friendship, but also the emotional tale of hidden needs. Learning about how you may not realize that your friends are hungry, and they really are. And then for older kiddos, How I Resist, Activism and Hope for a New Generation by Maureen Johnson. And that's just an all-star collection of essays, songs, illustrations, and interviews designed to remind young readers, ages 12 and up, that they're not helpless and that they do have things that they can do to help their communities. All of these things will be linked in the show notes.
Make sure to check out your local libraries for these things too, and make sure that you're using those to request those kinds of books in your local libraries as well. That's going to be a big way we're going to be able to pour back into our communities, and all of this is making sure we are utilizing the local resources that are there. That's how they get funding, is by proving that they're being used. So if you're really interested in looking in these children's books or wanting to look into that thing, that can't necessarily afford to buy any books out of pocket right now, because sometimes that's a privilege expense versus a need. Your local libraries, don't forget to look into them.
Yes.
And that app, what's the app? What's the local library app?
Libby.
Yes. Libby.
So there are other apps as well that I would encourage you that you can get. So like streaming services, if you, like me, have gotten rid of Disney Plus, and as the Disney adult in me is crying, but the responsible adult is like, you needed to do this. So if you got rid of Disney Plus, if you got rid of Amazon Prime, if you got rid of your subscriptions, there are so many things that you can use your library card and get free streaming. I'm opening my phone because I have it. I just can't remember what it is. So Libby is great, and you can get a lot through that. Hoopla,
yeah.
Hoopla.
Yes.
Yes, Hoopla. You could like audiobooks and shows and movies and documentaries. Also, if you are finding yourself wanting to purchase books that you want to keep, Thrift Books is a great option. That is just like buying used books or books that have been retired from libraries, and you're keeping your money out of corporate America, and you're still supporting authors.
Or go to local
bookstores.
Local bookstores.
Yes.
I wanted to add one more thing to range. And sometimes it could just be $20 and things like that. So, and sometimes it could be free for other states. They might allow you to do it for free. So that's just another thing I wanted to throw, that if you're having some trouble because people are utilizing the resources more than they typically were, you can check out other states that have broader resources and see if there's a small fee or if it's free to be a part of their library system.
The library is the shit, y'all. Reading Rainbow is back, everybody.
I can't wait.
Oh my God, I'm so happy. Is there anything else anybody wants to add in here as we go back to fucking real life? You tell how disgusted I am.
I'm just so grateful to be here with you guys. That's it. It's made my day to connect with you guys and just have this ray of light in the midst of the chaos. I'm just grateful for each and every one of you.
If there's something you can take away from this election cycle, is that you are not crazy. Like, it feels like you're like, there are times it felt like I was absolutely crazy because I was like, how could anyone support this? And this recent election shows that you are not crazy. There are a lot of people that feel the way you do. Like,
absolutely,
it's not collective psychosis. Like, we are like, there's more of us than there are of them, and this election cycle proved it.
Gaslighting by the government.
Yeah, at its best.
It's wild.
I'm gonna echo Tianna as always. I'm thankful for Odd Moms. I'm thankful for every single one of you. And I want this community to grow, because the empowerment that we all feel when we get together, I want every mom, every dad, every parent to feel that, because there is power in connection, and we're capable of more than what they want us to believe.
Yes,
absolutely.
And our connection is going to be the one thing they can't take away from us.
Yes.
They can take away food, they can take away assistance, they can take all of that, but they can't take away our humanity, guys. So pour into it, love on the people around you, show up for your community members, invite friends over for dinner. Those are going to be the things that literally kept us fed and surviving in this shithole of a dystopian nightmare that we're in. But hang in there, guys, because we're going to be able to overcome this. It's going to be hard, and it's going to take a lot of work on everybody's effort to get us through, but
we can do it.
That's what we've got. That's what we've got.
We've got each other. All right. This is your On Moms signing off. Until next time. Bye.
Stay on, yeah, bye. You've been on the line with Odd Moms on Call.
Because parenting doesn't come with a manual, but at least we've got each other.
Don't forget to subscribe, leave us a review, and share it with your fellow moms.
Or anyone who could use a little chaos with their coffee.
Got a hot take you'd like to share? Send us a message or shoot us an email at oddmomsoncall@gmail.com.
We might just talk about it on the show.